Zoom is up. Zoom link, jump into that. The video is already running. We're talking about increasing income. We're starting from the beginning. Jordan, good to see you on. Thank you, Dave. All right, so increase income. Good morning, Claudette. Good to see you. Yes, wealth principle 10 is increase your income. It is necessary. When I was broke, I didn't know the trick. I thought what I was making was all the options were. And then if I was in a service industry and money had stopped, I would have been terrified. I would have been petrified. I wouldn't have known what to do next. I know that my audience is mostly real estate agents, real estate investors, and people who own small businesses. So if you're in a service industry like the real estate business or the hair salon business, it's definitely concerning because right now your clients can't come to you. Clients have frozen up. They've become concerned with what they're doing, and they haven't decided to make moves. This is really just a time of people being on pause. It's not a time where people have stopped spending money or stopped having money. It's just a pause. It's just a temporary period of people not spending the way they used to. Now, anytime there's a pause, a kink in the hose, that means that money is building up. Money is building up somewhere. There's a tension building somewhere out in the world where money is starting to store up because people are not being active, because people are not spending it and moving it. Money is currency. It moves and flows just like water. So if you build a dam and you stop the money, it has to build up on the other side. So right now, people, hopefully you are building up a little bit of reserve at your house, building reserve at your home, in your life. Maybe you've stopped some of the spending and you're building a little bit of a reserve. This is a strong time for that. This is a very good time to be building reserve for yourself. And see waiting room. Yes, we've got people jumping in now. Mike Shine, I see you. Darina, John, admit all. You're all welcome in.
Woohoo!
Hey, Mario. Mike, you made it. Darina, you made it. Gary, good to see you. Excellent. John, I can't see you, but turn your video on.
There you go.
I'm sure you look amazing. Tell Karen to be nice. I already know who it is. Yeah. All right. All right. So the question now is, how do you do it? I know Darina asked me yesterday. She said, you better come with some real good answers on how to increase income during this period of time.
On, unless you want.
Is that not right, Darina?
Showing anything.
Yes. Mike, what are you doing to increase income right now?
Closing a ton of loans.
Closing a ton of loans, right? I'll tell you what, my mortgage brokers are doing the same exact thing. They're closing them now while they still can.
Yeah.
So closing loans, this is a real estate attorney's just doing his daily job. Not much has changed other than we now have Purell at the closing table, right, Mike?
Right, masks, gloves, separate closings, separate seller buyer.
Absolutely. So you're going you've changed your business a little bit to accommodate for the changes in the environment. Matt Springer, good to see you, brother. Matt is a nurse. He says, unfortunately, I'm stuck at work saving lives. So yeah, thank you, Matt, for your service. I'm sure you're working 60 hours a week right now. So Mike, one of your solutions has been just adapt to the change. If we know that people are still interested in closing, there's still motivation behind buying real estate, there's still motivation to show up to the closing table, then you've adapted. You said, we're not going to stop business. We're just going to change how we operate. And that's a solution that is working for you. And as long as the real estate agents and the mortgage brokers don't close shop, your business is going to continue running exactly the same way as it always has.
Right. And the industry is changing things like remote notary services. Companies are working on that. So yeah.
I love it.
Cool.
So during this time, believe it or not, there are other attorneys who are closing their doors. There are attorneys who are not doing closings right now. I know because I've been affected in my business because there are some attorneys who are saying, yeah, you know what, we're just not gonna, we're gonna push the closings to next month to wait for everything to open up again. So your closing strategy is different from some attorneys. You're doing things differently because you're a rainmaker. You're making it rain, Mike. Or a different shirt today because
I like it.
because increasing income is one of my favorite subjects.
Yeah, that's
Increasing
awesome.
is make it rain. Like, how do we do this? In this time, this is your chance to expand, take more market share. For Mike, if you know attorneys are afraid of meeting up with clients, afraid to have conversations, you're doing Zoom calls. You've done 2-3 Zoom calls with me already in the last like 7 days, just banging it out, building things up. You're taking market share in a time where people are scared, where everybody else is contracting, pulling back. You're saying, well, I can learn new technology. You just figured out how to do Zoom on your wife's computer. I can see it's the same one right now, right?
Great.
Yeah.
There you go, the fireplace.
See more. Yeah.
So if you're on Zoom,
Oh,
you see
nice. He's
Mike.
got a nice fireplace
He's
going.
got his fireplace in the background. Yep. So that's how you know
Toasty,
he's at his home
cheers, little
office.
tea.
We got the matching cups.
There's no speaker.
All right. So how do you do it? That's where it comes down to. Before I go into active income, which is what we've been talking about, there's seven other types of income. Well, 6 other types of income. Aside from active, you have passive income, which is the other 6. The other 6 forms of income are made up of all passive income purchased through assets. Some you had to build, some you have to buy. You have the option to do either, and it really depends on your situation, what your skills are. And increasing income really is just about increasing yourself, increasing your skills, increasing your value to the marketplace. When you become more valuable to the marketplace, you learn the skills of these other 6 passive forms of income. You have options. For Mike and myself, we have other vehicles of income that are flowing no matter what happens. Even if our active income were bumped a little bit, we still have the other 6 forms of income running around, bringing money in. So what are those 6 forms? Write these down. You've got rental income from rental property. You've got dividend income from stock investments, from mutual funds, from ETFs, REITs. You've got interest from loans. This is all passive. You've got profit from a business. A true business is a business that runs without you and throws off profits. They're different from active income that you had to work for. You have capital gains. Capital gains come from 1, the sale of stock, the sale of real estate, and the sale of business. When you sell a business, a stock, or real estate for a profit, you receive something the government calls capital gains. And that is, again, passive income. It's simply the sale of something you already own. Then there's royalties. Royalties come from having something, an entity or an idea or a brand, something that is created and it is selling for you outside without you doing any work. If you're into franchising, if you've ever written a book, so every sale of this book comes from royalties. That's royalty income. So thank you for everyone who has bought the book, Broke to $250,000. I appreciate you for bringing that 7th flow in for me. It was the one that I had not had yet. Thank you, Mike. I see the clap. So, and even I'm always growing, right? So that was one of the 7. It was elusive. I couldn't figure out how to get royalties, so I wrote a book, and there they were. There they started coming through. The next will be franchising. Carlos, Vicky, John, good to see you guys. Good morning. We're talking about the most important, the 10th wealth habit, which is increase income. Sometimes you'll find you have debt, you have issues in your life. If you just increase income, it solves most issues. There are most things that can be solved via just having a little bit more money in your pocket. Mike, won't you agree?
Yes.
Hey, we're here.
Hey, good morning. Good to see you, Mitch. Good to see you, Dave.
My pleasure.
Who's
All
the
right.
dog? Who's the dog?
That's John's dog. That's his oracle. He makes all of his investment decisions based on what the dog decides to do. That's his private partner.
Yeah.
He talks to Karen, and Karen gives the advice on behalf of the dog.
Right.
Sorry.
So which forms of income do you have right now? Look at the list. Look at the 7 forms of income. Is it active? Active from your own work. Think about it, because some people own businesses, but they still actively are doing all the work. If you did the work for the income, that was active. If the work was done by somebody else and just received a profit, that's profit. That's the difference. So you have active income, rental income, profit income, dividend, interest from a loan, capital gains from a sale, and royalties from something you've produced and is being sold by somebody else. If you haven't started on rental income, let me tell you how much you're missing out on. That is the one flow that right now is bringing in the most amount of money for us. Even though my active income really has slowed down. Look at Mike. Mike's got his cat now. Everybody's got their pets. I'm going to go get my goldfish. I'll bring them over.
That's smart to only have a goldfish.
That's right.
Exactly.
I go on vacation. Those things still hit. I don't know how they do it, but 7 days later, I come back. They're still alive. They're absolutely amazing. Leandra, Wander, good to see you guys. Good morning. So now, the 7. What is the easiest one to grow? I personally have found the easiest to either be rental income or profit income. Building a business, certainly one of the easiest things. Well, I mean, there's work, right? There's work involved. It's one of the easier, but buying real estate is absolutely the easiest form of income I have found. You buy the property, and if you suck at management, you put a property manager in place, and they're good at it. And so you make passive cash flow. If you're good at management, yeah, you can make a little bit more. It's like creating yourself
have
a
the
job,
right.
and it's no longer profit, and now you have a piece of active income. So if you're managing your own properties, you can't call that part of your income passive.
Where?
Where are my landlords at? If you're a landlord, raise your hand. I see you on the feed. Yes. So would you say managing your properties is 100% passive? Anybody on here, can you say it is?
No.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not. But if you have a property manager in place, it mostly is passive. It becomes relatively passive, almost very, very little touches. Is that accurate to say?
Yes.
Absolutely. So if you're managing yourself, just look at the 10% that a property manager would take and pay yourself that. Say, this is active income. This is me actively earning. And then the beyond that, that's true passive rental income. I dislike when an investor combines the two, because you're really missing out for yourself. You're taking away from the reality of the future that you want, because at some point you're going to have to hire a property manager if you're going to keep expanding. For me, it was 22 units. At 22 units, it was either hire a property manager or sell everything and get out of the business. And clearly I chose become wealthy and rich instead of just sell and get out. Carlos, good to see you, brother. No is right, exactly. It's not passive, it's relatively active. The other, so I alluded to this already. The third form that is easier to build is profit income. And before I go on profit, let me tell you, I still am buying real estate right now. Right now, I'm still hunting. I'm still looking for a deal. I'm still looking for a multifamily rental property, 3 to 6 units. I prefer more. If I can get 12 units, 20 units, I would do that much more easily than a smaller building right now. But right now, we're looking for more cash flow, right? That's the only business in all of this that we see blowing up, getting stronger. All of our tenants are at home right now, being amazing, good paying, quality people who are really, really appreciating their home. We have commercial tenants that are having a little bit of a harder time, right? Some of the commercial tenants are definitely having a little bit of a harder time because their income is dried up. Ryan, good to see you, man. Glad you made it. Renata, good to see you. So my advice before we go on to profit, buy rental property. If you don't have one right now, buy a rental property. If you haven't bought one this year, buy a rental property. This is still a great time to buy. Interest rates are low, even though if anybody who's refinancing right now or in the middle of a loan knows the banks have slowed down. They've shifted. They've grinded to a halt. This is temporary. They're just recalibrating. They're just figuring out, what they're going to charge based on what the new interest rates are. Because the Fed dropped the rates to 0. Nobody's charging 0. Does that make sense? No bank makes a profit if they're charging 0. So now the Fed's decided they don't need a profit or they don't need to make any money. The bank's deciding, well, what do we have to make? And they're standing back and saying, what is the risk factor? They're not going to give up on lending. It's just like you and your business. Banks make a living off of lending money. This is what they do. So they're not going to give up on lending. They're just looking at the territory and saying, how do we do this? How do we do this safely? How do we gauge our risk? Maybe interest rates will go up just a little bit on the bank side, especially on the commercial side, and they're going to gauge and say, okay, where do we stand? What do we believe is safe? And we're going to move forward with it. We just got the approval on the refinance we're doing. It's a big, no, it's not a big, but it's big for us. A $1.5 million refinance. And on that refi, they said, yeah, we're probably going to be in that 5.5%, 6%, which to us is no big deal because we're in 12 right now anyway, right, Mike? 12 and 14.
Right.
Some sections.
Just a relationship starter.
All about the relationships. So Mike is one of our private lenders. He's invested with us in some of our projects. So thank you, Mike. We appreciate you, brother. You are the man. Give him a round of applause. Absolutely. So rental property, if you're on the fence, if you're a buyer right now, if you're a real estate buyer, if you're somebody who has a little bit of money saved, if your income is still stable, you got a 1099 W-2 job, and you haven't bought real estate, or you're looking to buy again, or you're not sure, the only piece of advice I want to give you is just run the numbers. Just run the numbers. If it cash flows, buy it. If it's more than 3 units and it cash flows, buy it. Don't worry about what interest rates are doing. Don't worry about what the stock market's doing. Don't worry about whether you have a job or not. If you have that property, you have increased income. You have a little bit extra. And right now, thank God for our rental properties. Thank God for our tenants. They've paid the mortgages already. I checked with Ron yesterday. All the mortgages are covered. So now we're just waiting for them to pay the expenses, pay the rest, and hopefully we'll get some of that positive cash flow in towards the end of this week, or at the end of next week. But it's no longer a concern for us. We know we survived this month, and we've pulled back on maintenance. This is the other advice I'm giving a lot of real estate investors. Pull back on maintenance. We're pull back on maintenance. We're pulling back on water bills, tax bills. The city and the government can wait. The utility companies will not shut anything off we know that we're going to have forgiveness this month. So we will pay, but we're not paying until we've gotten all of our rents in. We're making sure that our rents are coming through. We're pulling back on fixing things. We will pay. We always pay our bills. This is what we do. Melanie, good morning. Tom, good to see you, brother. And as an investor, it's your responsibility. This is what makes us so great, is that we always pay our debts. Our debts are what makes us great, because we go and we borrow a lot, and then we go and we pay it. And that's what allows us to get to the next level. We borrow, we leverage, and then we pay. And that's why we have success. As an investor, your responsibility is to your debts. That's why we get so big so fast, is because we leverage ourselves. We go out. We're in an industry that allows us to leverage 80%, 90% in many cases. And with your first property, 97% or 100%. No other industry allows you to leverage like that. There's no other business. So clearly, it's stable. It's consistent. It's been there for a long time. The banks know how to read it, right? So it's okay for you to pull back a little bit, communicate with your tenants. Hey, this might be a tough month for us. Can you hold off on these renovations? Can you hold off on these repairs? Can you hold off on these requests? There are some things I really wanted to do. I'm pulling back. Like, there were landscaping jobs, there were hallway jobs I really wanted to make done so the buildings would be nicer. We're holding back just until we're finished. We're just asking our tenants to give us patience to get past this. And I strongly suggest every one of you does the same thing. If you have a tenant who says they can't pay, tell them, how much can you pay? Just because they've reduced income for the last 2 weeks does not mean that they can't pay at least a half month of rent. It doesn't mean they can't pay some portion. It just means that their income has slowed down or it has stopped temporarily. So if you have tenants in these services, me and Mike were talking about this the other day, and Mike was nice enough to actually forgive one of his tenants, a hairstylist, a hair salon, which is a very tough industry right now for them to be in. I know, because a lot of my students are hairstylists. So that is, give Mike a round of applause, because that's a big one to take. That's tough. Mike, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, right.
I know.
Tough. Single mom.
Yes.
No other income.
Right.
Spent a lot of money in the property to make it look like a really nice hair salon. So gotta help out.
Taking care of each other, right?
Yeah.
I'm reading that book by Sam Zell.
Yep.
The art of what is it?
Am I being too subtle?
Is that the book of the week? Is that what we agreed on?
That is the book of the week.
All right. So, Mike, without further ado, you want to deliver the book of the week before I get into the other forms of
Sure.
income?
Sure. So, Am I Being Too Subtle by Sam Zell, who is
Good morning, Kerry.
it's an amazing book about a Jewish immigrant from Poland, first generation American, family started with nothing, and now he's a billionaire from real estate investment and business investments. It's it's an inspiring story, and it's right on topic as to what we're talking about and where we want to be. And especially the discussion about REITs. I know that's near and dear to your heart, Walter. So that's it's a great book. He does his own reading on the Audible. His voice is a little scratchy, but it's still
Totally.
there's some chapters where he's just giving advice, and it just blew my mind. His advice is just so good and so valuable for us. So I would highly recommend Am I Being Too Subtle? And it's entertaining.
It is. I love the way the way Sam goes into telling the story is he starts with a story about his family surviving the Holocaust and coming over from Germany, but no, coming over from Poland, just going like the opposite wrong way, like all over through Russia and around through Japan, and then coming over into Seattle, and then eventually ending up in Chicago, and being a billionaire, jumping into the real estate industry. Yeah, he was right up my alley. Like as I was going, I was like, dude, like
he's your new hero.
yeah, I got a new hero. I couldn't stand his voice, but you know what? At 75, he's still working.
Hey.
He dictated it
You
himself.
want to work? Yeah.
So you've got to give him credit
You
for
want
that.
to work the high
Yeah.
All right, John, I'm muting you. Love you though.
Hey,
All right.
Galter.
Yes,
just
Mitch.
to jump in with the Mr. Zell, he
Yep.
did a Tim Ferriss episode. He was on Tim Ferriss's podcast.
No
And
way.
he tells that story amongst other things. So also along with that book, that episode on the Tim Ferriss show is definitely worth checking out. He talks a lot about that stuff, and he's the father of the REIT.
No
Yeah.
kidding. The father of the REIT. I love it.
Oh,
Kerry,
that's awesome.
that is good idea, but I have the Facebook Live and the Zoom call on two separate devices.
Thank
So I
you,
would love
Mitch.
to screen
That's
share.
awesome.
Mitch,
That's
very
awesome.
solid advice, man.
Yeah, thank you. I'm
Mike
gonna listen to it.
loves who was it?
Tim Ferriss.
Tim Ferriss. I'm looking
4
for
Hour Work
podcast.
Week.
the
Yeah.
4 Hour Work Week at Tim Ferriss. He's
Yeah.
watching his podcast, so now you're gonna look for that one. I know you are.
Except when he's talking about psychedelic mushrooms.
Well, that's for your wife off a little bit.
Skip some episodes.
That's
yeah,
it.
right. Exactly.
So getting back to it. Oh yeah, Dave, you're in the zone, man. You're listening to the right people. Kevin, good to see you, brother. All right, so we know that rental property makes sense. We know that if you haven't bought this year, hunt is on. There's a good chance we may see a discount. We may see a discount in the next couple of months because there will be sellers who are scared. So if you're a hunter, if you've got wholesalers out there, we're going to start seeing deals pop up. Let's just make sure that we're keeping our opportunities open. And let me just respond to Vicky. There is a new link. There is a new link. Paste. There you go. All right. So hopefully Vicky can jump in. And Ishmael, you're in the group now. Welcome, brother. Increase income on profit. This is the one. This is the one you could really expand. So rental property is phenomenal. It's taking your money and it's investing it and getting you passive income that comes through over and over. Building a business doesn't take much money to start with. Unless you're Mike and you have to go through years and years of college to become an attorney. Most people can start a business with absolutely nothing. You start a landscaping business tomorrow. You could start a clean out business tomorrow. My properties still need clean outs. I still have tenants moving out. You can start a painting company tomorrow. There's still properties being like, I literally just wrote a check for a painter. And I just went through and I looked at my units. If you're a real estate agent, there is still leasing that is being done. There's still property being sold. I was at a closing on Tuesday where I got that sweet fat check. I had 2 agents at the table. Both of them were working. The attorney was working. The lender was working. There's still money flowing in this industry right now, especially if you're working investment buyers. I can't say, I've been pounding this home for months now. Work with investment buyers. They are the best. You heard the saying, buyers are liars, right? Every agent heard the saying, buyers are liars. Not investors. Investors are very honest with you. I want cash flow. I want cash flow, and I want cash flow. And I want it cheaper. If you can get me cash flow cheaper, I want that, right? And most investors don't even care where they're buying. Most investors just like, you get me cash flow, I'll buy it. My students are very specific about their areas. They're very specific about the property type they're buying because it's allowing them to expand much faster. But as an agent, if you are not working with investors right now, your business is hurting. It's entirely possible. If you're working the normal single family buyers, a family who's now stuck with their kids at their house all the time where they didn't expect it, they might not want to buy right now. They might be like, I got so much going on. I got fear about the future. I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't think expending money right now is a good idea. Those single family buyers are probably going to dry up for the next couple of weeks. Not saying that market's gone. It's just that for the next couple of weeks, they're going to be shaking in their boots. They're scared. And they're like Mike Shine with five little rugrats running around, you know?
That's not their ages.
No, his
Two of
kids
them are out on their own.
his kids are almost gone.
Every age. Every age.
Yeah, he's got all the ages. What is your list? You got Noah's
26,
12,
22,
Yep.
15, 13, and 7.
15, 13, and 7. So Noah's 13 now. Tell him I said happy birthday.
Okay.
Nice.
Awesome.
No password, Emily. I just posted a new one in the group. Joe, good to see you, brother. All right. So we've got now profit income. I don't care what industry it is. Hairstylist. I was just literally did a week-long mastermind with one of my business partners on the West Coast, and we were talking about expanding to 13 new locations. This week, I'm expanding. I'm taking market share. Do you know why? The world is terrified. Every single salon owner out there right now is shaking. They're saying, oh my God, I closed my doors. Oh my God, rent is due. Oh my God, my clients aren't coming in. They're scared. They're shaking in their boots. I would love to, if you're listening and you own a hair salon, I want to buy your hair salon and I will buy it cheap. I'll buy it for far less than it's worth. If you're looking to get out, I've got the cash. We're talking $10,000, $15,000, ready to buy tomorrow. And there are people who will take that offer because they don't know the value of their business. They're looking to just get out and dump it. We're talking businesses that could become $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 businesses that people are shaking in their boots right now, scared to get out of. If you've ever even considered owning a business, check this out. If you're a real estate agent, all you have to do is have more clients than you can handle, and you can get referral fees from every other agent. And we're not talking the 25%. We're talking 50%. When my father or Matt or Andrew or Amy, one of my agents goes out and closes a deal, and I sent them the lead, I took one of my investors and I gave it to them. This is now business, right? I've taken one of my investors and I handed it off. And these are people I've trained, so I trust them. They're going to do a better job than me. They now close. I get 50%, they get 50%. For me doing no work, just having a conversation with an investor, educating them, saying, yep, this is a good idea. And they say they want to buy, cool. Here's somebody I trust to go and do the transaction for you. That's a business. That's a business that can make money for you while you're still running your business, just talking to more investors, going out and doing things. Hair salons. Hair salon. You know what I love about hair salons? Aside from me, most people can't stop this shit from growing. I'm the only one with the anomaly, but most people, their hair keeps growing. They're just like keeps going. And even me, I go to my barber to get this thing lined up every so often because I'm not exactly a pro. Notice they go different sides. So I'm still going back to my barber once a month just to get it all lined up. They charge for a chair $700, $800. I have a buddy in Denver whose girlfriend's paying $1,400 a month for a chair. And if you go into the barbershop or you go into a hair salon, next time you look around, count the chairs. Just think, wow, they're making $800, $1,000 a month for each one of these chairs. $500 if you're only renting a chair half the week, right? 10 chairs in the room, that's 10 grand a month. You know what the lease is for that space leases for the same amount as the restaurant on the side of it, at least for the same amount as the nail salon on the side of it, at least for the same amount as the car auto parts repair person on the side of it. Those little 1,000 square feet units are leasing for $700 to $1,200 a month in certain parts of town. And a hair salon doesn't need to be on a main road, so you're not fighting with main road competition. So those little salons. Mike, what do you rent your salon out for? What is that? 800, 1,000?
1,100.
1,100 a month. 1,000 square feet.
A little bit less than that.
And where is that one? Is that East Greenwich?
North Kingstown.
North Kingstown. So you're in a really good location, really great area, and the rent is only $1,100. So imagine how many chairs do you think she could fit in there?
Yeah, she's not like that. She's a solo. She's been around for a while, but
Active
maybe you
income,
could
right?
maybe you could talk to her.
I'm gonna have to, because if she had a little bit of passive income coming in, she'd feel a lot better right now.
Right.
Being the solo only form of income is terrifying. Any hairstylist right now who is just either working hourly, commission based, or just renting their own chair, that terrifies me.
Right.
You should be renting out multiple chairs. Go if you can find a good deal, a good discount right now. If your salon has vacancies in the chairs, go and negotiate the price of your chair down and negotiate the price of another chair down, and then get somebody in there on commission based. If you can get a chair as cheap as $400 a month, $500 a month, because I guarantee you, salon owners right now, desperate. They're negotiable. You can make that adjustment. This is increasing income just from having conversations during a time when people are scared. This making sense? You now
except in Rhode Island, they're not allowed to be working right now. So
they're not allowed to be working right now. You're setting yourself up for next month.
gotcha.
You're
Okay.
setting yourself up for the future. During this time of fear, while everybody's contracting, you're expanding. You're coming out and saying, hey, look, I've got a great opportunity for you. I know things are slow right now, but on the other side of it, you know that the cable's pinched. And as soon as that comes through, it's going to flow. Because those people, everybody still needs a haircut, right? I notice there's people on the call right now who are wearing hats, right? We've got things on our head covering things. Right? The hair is starting to grow out. You know, we're going to be cool the next week or so, but after that, it's like, all right, I just got to get a haircut. This is getting rough. Is that right, Dave?
There was a Facebook post where that said that 88% of all blondes will disappear in the next 2 months.
Yes. We're going to have a shortage of blondes. Good to see you, Daniel.
A lot more
I love
grays
that.
too.
What is it? What's the other one, Mitch?
A lot more grays.
A lot more gray.
A lot more
Yeah.
grays. We're bringing grays back. Blondes are disappearing. All the purple hair is going to be gone.
Yeah, right.
So this is a serious concern, right? I mean, I talk about this with stylists and I joke around about it. And I say, look, if a woman just changed her hair now and then, a man would be more excited. All right, we're building relationships, making relationships better. So this is a good opportunity to see those grays and see the blonde disappear. We're gonna have a lot of babies come September, come December now.
Yeah, right.
So that is profit income. That is a form of income that Ron and I and some of my other partners, we focus on heavily now that the rental income is doing well, now that it's automated, and we're picking more property up, and it's time to increase income. It's, well, what's the fastest way? The fastest way is build a business. Whatever business you have right now, even if it's on hold, even if it seems like it's on hold and it's slowing down, this is just like in real estate, we call the winters slow times, right? I've never experienced a slow winter because in the winter, I'm making more phone calls. I'm meeting up with people. Now is your chance to figure out Zoom and Facebook Live and spend more time with your clients. Reach out, build more relationships, find more people. If you're a wholesaler, you're a real estate investor, this is the time to get on the calls and mailing people and finding those motivated sellers to buy a property from or wholesale the deal. My wholesalers are still making money because I'm still buying. I'm still hunting. I'm still looking for stuff. So there's still an opportunity for wholesalers because real estate investors don't care what the stock market does. We just don't care. It's not a part of our daily routine. I've looked at my stocks. I've seen them go down in value, but it doesn't affect my day-to-day, right? I drew up a little bit more money in some of my REITs. Mike knows I love the real estate investment trust. So I've dropped more money in. I'm getting better dividends now, which we're about to talk about. So profit, it comes from a business. If you don't have a business now's the time to build a business. Now's the time to focus on one. If you have a real estate license, that's your business, push it. If you're into wholesaling, that's your business, push it. These are both businesses that are growing right now. If you're not doing well as an agent, you need to adjust your clientele. If you're not doing well as an agent, you need to adjust your clientele. Listen to what I've been saying the last couple of months. Move towards investors. Investors don't clam up when it's time to buy. If the deal is good, they will buy it, regardless of what the market's doing. So if you're a real estate agent, adjust to working with investors. Pick a side. Either you work with buyers or you work with sellers, but you can't do both and be effective. In this time, it's about focus and doing the right thing. And if you're working with buyers, you're not focused on working with sellers. It's two separate energies. They're two separate clients. Sellers are old, 55 plus. Buyers are 25 to 35 to 45. It's that range. Once they get to a certain age, they're no longer buying anymore. There's a blurry gray area, but they're extremely separated. The mindset of a buyer, an expanding investor, is aggression. The mindset of a seller, a contracting investor, is protection, release, letting go. Two totally separate energies, two totally separate real estate agents. If you live in both worlds, you will experience mixed results. This making sense? Where my agent's at? Doreen, I see you taking notes. Yes. We had to mute her. No, I know you muted yourself. It's okay. Next one. Next one is interest income. Mike.
Walter, before you go, Ishmael and Marcia are trying to get on.
Oh, Marcia. Oh, I already let Ishmael in. Marcia just was the one I was holding off on.
There's Marcia.
You're right. I
Hey,
let her in.
Marcia.
Good morning, Marcia. How are you? Thanks, Mario. Appreciate you, brother. Mike, how are you doing with your interest income? Has that stopped? Has that slowed down?
Interest from loans, you mean?
Interest from loans.
No, it's paying on time. You guys even sent it directly to Equity Trust. That was awesome.
We just upgraded our system so it's faster.
Save me a step. Usually you send a check and then I have to FedEx it to Equity Trust to my self-directed Roth IRA, but Ron sent it directly to Equity Trust. I just checked my the web page and there it is. Boom.
Boom. Money in the
Boom.
bank. You're welcome, brother.
Yeah.
We make it rain, Mike. We make it rain.
Make it rain. Make it rain. Make it
I love it when the time of the month comes along to pay our investors, to pay our contractors, to pay our property manager. It's just like, we're just like, all right. Like a little Wayne song. We're just like making it rain on everybody. It's one of the best feelings we have, is to have the money to pay our people back. To have the money to thank our relationships, to say thank you so much for trusting us. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. And Mike, this is a form of interest income. How many people on the call right now are making interest income? Just me and Mike, right? There we go. Dorina, there you go. Mitch, yeah, a little bit. Mario, a little bit. It's okay. Once you've gotten, even if you just have money in the bank and you're seeing that little 2 cents show up, it's something. Tim, good to see you, brother. It's something. It's Dave. It's coming. It's coming, brother. It's just something you just start focusing on it. I have on my wall, I have a chart that says 7 forms of income, and it's increase at all times. It says 7 forms of income, increase at all times: active income, rental income, profit income, dividend income, interest income, capital gains income, royalties income. And at the bottom, it says, what am I doing this week to increase my income? And that little reminder has changed my life. It's changed my focus. It's gotten my interest income up. It's gotten me royalties. It's gotten my capital gains up. Just a little sentence under, and just focusing on the 7 types, right? If you don't have all 7, change something, learn something, gain something, grow. Here's the funny part. My royalty income from the book, it increases my active income. It increases my profit income. It increases my rental property income, because people are reading the book. They trust me. They reach out to me. I train them, and then I connect them with a real estate investor, and then a real estate agent, or I connect them with one of my coaches. I connect them with the wholesale team. Then the wholesalers are bringing me deals, and I'm buying rental properties. Is this making sense? There you go. Scaredy cat investing in rental properties. Mitch is another one with royalties. Give him a round of applause.
Wow.
You get it.
Nice job.
Melanie, good to see you. Kevin, welcome, brother. So you see how the other forms of income, getting them, can explode your main ones. Once you've really figured out how all this works, getting the royalty income can explode your passive income. It can explode your active income, and your active income really has to start growing to what are the big pieces, the big chunks, right? I no longer work with investors on small deals, but I'll still work with an investor who's buying 50 units or 100 units or big deals. So I work with the larger investors now because those conversations are more fun for me, and they're better use of my time. If I gave that to a beginning investor, they might shake, they might crack, they might fumble the deal. So I'll take those bigger clients. So my active income has increased, but I haven't spent more hours on it. Is this making sense? I'm not spending more hours. I'm just doing a better job. I'm working on bigger quality projects. Is that making sense? I assume the head nods and the eyes looking back at me are yes. Very good. So we did active, rental, profit, royalties. I won't go deep into, but if you have something in you, you have a skill, you have an ability, this is a great time for you to write your book. Even if your book is short, even if it's writing a blog, even something small. If you're writing just a pamphlet and you can sell that pamphlet for 50 cents or $1, write something that could sell on Amazon and Amazon will promote it for you. Write something that could become digital and you can put it out in a space where people will buy it and it'll promote you so that you can promote your other businesses. Bring it back. Royalty income. This is a time where you got 2-3 weeks at home. Write a book, right? But it doesn't have to be a thick book like this. And I say thick because my brother jokes and says this is a tiny book, but write something that's 20 pages, 30 pages, a little pamphlet, right? Write something like Grant Cardone has it. His Millionaire booklet, right? You got one? There you go, Dorina. The Millionaire booklet, it's tiny. This thing it's not even 30 pages. It's 40 pages, but they're tiny little pages, right? I ordered 100 of these, cost me $1 each. I spent $100 and I give these out. So I give these out to a lot of my students who are looking to become millionaires. So the Millionaire booklet, if you haven't got it, get it. But it's like something along those lines. Like Grant says it, he wrote this in 2 hours, all right? Little book. He dictated it, had somebody, go and write it up, and then sent it to Fiverr. And then I'm sure Fiverr went and uploaded it to Amazon, and now it's on Amazon and you can buy it. So for 2 hours worth of work and a couple of text messages and emails to Fiverr, you have a book. You can do that this week. You can get this done. Just write down the 10 principles of something you want to teach, get the book done, and make sure that you tell it in story form. One lesson. Anyway, that's your royalty income. I strongly suggest because it'll blow up all your other business. Mike, if you told the story of building wealth through the eyes of an attorney and let people know it's, real estate and transactions and lending and promissory notes and all these different elements, and they read your booklet and they're like, oh my God, like Mike is the attorney who has all the knowledge on how to build wealth. I've got to contact him. And then you are the closing attorney on all their transactions. Who else would they work with? Does that make sense?
Sweet.
Right?
Yeah.
And you made money selling your book.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be crazy.
Your brother can be a ghostwriter?
Absolutely. You can have on your book the same thing I have, ghost written by Joshua Amarillo. That's what he went to school for, so might as well use it, right?
Nice. Yeah.
So that's royalty income. I strongly suggest getting it. Capital gains. What I just made on Tuesday. What I just made on Tuesday was capital gains. I sold a property, and the profit. So my check was $108,000. I want to be very clear. It's not my profit. My profit was $101,000. So I just want to make sure that I let everybody know that it cost me $7,000 down payment to buy the property. Does that make sense? So I've had a lot of people say, oh, well, how much was profit? How much was profit? You're right. It wasn't all profit. Only $101,000 of it was profit. And so that was capital gains profit. I know, Dorina, I see the fat lip. Nobody's crying for me because we're making it rain. Nobody feels bad for you. It's all right.
Nice job. It's a good example to
income.
set.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
What that was me as an investor saying, I've built up assets. If I sell this right now, I'm gonna make $101,000. If I keep it, it's cash flowing me $1,500 a month. How long would that take me? That's $18,000 a year. It's gonna take me 5-6 years to get that money back. Rents will go up over time. It'll appreciate over time, but the market might drop. It may go in the opposite direction. I'm looking at the fear factor too. I said, you know what? I'm going to take that money in right now. I think that $101,000 during this time of crisis is going to be much better in my pocket than in this property. I have a feeling that I'll buy 2 or 3 buildings with that money during this time instead of keeping it in the building. Does that make sense? So for some investors who are in the position, it's a good time to clean up shop. do not clean up shop in the stock market. That's already, your time to clean up was crashed. Like that's gone. But in the real estate market, you may have an opportunity. You look at your portfolio, you may have an opportunity to let something go. And on the other side, replace it with an asset that's doing terrible right now, a stock. Maybe not this week, maybe not next week or the week after, because I do believe there's going to be a second wave of COVID-19. I believe there's a second wave coming. And I do believe that the stock market hasn't picked a direction yet because it's still falling like a jackknife. So keep an eye on it. And again, I'm not encouraging, if you've never been to the stock market, I'm not encouraging you to learn it now. This is not a good time to learn it. It's a good time to pay attention and watch. But if you are familiar with the stocks you trust, familiar with what you're doing, now would be a good time to shift a little bit of asset over, because real estate's doing great and stocks are doing terrible. So it's a good time to shift those over and get some of that lower level, great companies at a lower level price. Not all of it. Again, everything within balance. But if you had a couple, like a property you didn't like, an extra property that you know is really built well, equity, the capital gains could be used in something else. The other side of it, capital gains can be 1031 exchanged, or in the case of stocks, they can be 1041 exchanged. Case of business, 1041 exchange. So you can defer that cost to buy another big business. So if you own a business right now and you're looking to sell it, and you have, and it's, this business is pumped up, it's doing great, you got all the W-2s and it's a strong industry, and you're looking to buy into something now that's full of fear, a business that is maybe the same business, just mismanaged, run poorly, like a hair salon, now is a great time to 1031 into that hair salon and buy it cheap and pump that up. So this is a form of capital gains that you don't actually take the income, you just allow it to keep rolling. A 1031 exchange or the 1041 exchange. So exchanges, doing tax deferred programs. So
Right,
capital gains, go ahead.
And also don't forget opportunity zones.
And opportunity zones, a great place to invest. The government's giving you free cash, forgiving taxes if you're investing in those areas, both business and real estate. So great opportunities are still available. Just look at your map, go on the city websites, go to the government websites and find where your opportunity zones locally in the cities that you trust. Mike, are you investing in opportunity zones right now?
Yeah, I'm looking because I readjusted my stock portfolio, so there's some capital gains there.
Yep.
You get 6 months to put them into a nice piece of real estate opportunity zone, and then you get, in 2026, you get 10% off your capital gains on whatever you sold, but then the new property, if you hold it for at least 10 years, you pay no capital gains on the new property. And since I'm a buy and hold person, I'm definitely going to hold it for 10 years. And so that'll be tax-free. Yeah. So yeah.
And that's the opposite. If you're fortunate enough to have closed out some stocks recently before things turned around, then you have the opportunity zones that are allowing you to go tax-free, capital gains free, without paying the tax on them, into real estate, those opportunity zones. The government is saying, hey, we want people to invest here. We'll forgive your taxes when you're pulling from other assets, sale of a business or sale of stocks. We'll forgive that and actually give you tax-free if you're investing in one of these areas. So great opportunity if you're able to go in that other direction right now. Next, well, we talked about interest income that comes from loans, from either seller financing. So if you have a seller who's looking to get out of it and you can't get the financing lined up, you don't have to go for the whole gusto. You don't have to say, hey, will you seller finance the whole deal? Go for 10, 20%. The bank will cover the rest. So you can get them a little bit of interest. You can get them a little bit of that interest income, and talk about the value of interest income. If you don't have interest income right now, it's going to be hard to sell it to somebody else. So I would strongly suggest, if you're looking to get seller financing, go and lend out $1,000. Lend out $1,000 at 8% or 10%. Just get some sort of income from interest, so you can now have a real genuine conversation with somebody and say, you know what, I love my passive income. I get interest income, I lend out, and I'm getting 8% of my money. So and then you don't have to tell them it's only $1,000 or it's $100. It's only to your brother. Like, you don't have to go into details, but you tell them that you're getting passive income from interest, and you're getting 8% or 6%, whatever number you're comfortable paying somebody. I pay people 12%. Right? I must be a nice guy. But you tell them that you're getting passive income and you love it. It comes in every single month. And if they're interested in selling their property with a little bit of seller financing, you can provide that passive income to them. Is that something they'd be interested in? You start with the full gusto. If they say no, say, you know what? It's not even a big deal. What about 10%? What about 20%? Would you be interested in carrying a little bit of paper? I'm going to give you the big chunk and a little bit of paper so that you can start that cash flow coming in, that little bit of passive income. Get people interest income. Why not? Help your sellers. Help the people you're investing and buying from to get that passive interest income. Get it for yourself first so you feel confident selling it. And then, and Mike, you also have seller financing, right? You have some deals that you did that with.
Yep.
And-
My law office
Right.
asked him twice. The first time he said no. The second time he said yes.
Same here.
Yeah.
Every time I've asked, the first time they've told me no. Every
Right.
single time I've said, will you seller finance? They're like, nope, not interested. I want everything. I want all the cash. And every time I go back the second or third time, that's when the adjustment changes. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm getting under agreement anyway. I'm getting under agreement whether or not seller financing is an option. But during the negotiations, during the under agreement period, I'm asking, hey, what about this? You know, what does this work for you? Do you think we can adjust this? And we just closed the deal. I thought I was going to have to raise $180,000. We just closed the deal. We were able to get the seller to bring $60,000 to the table, an extra $60,000. And then we went back to our hard money lender and we adjusted lenders to somebody who was just going to let us bring 10%. And so instead of me having to go get 30%, I ended up only having to bring 10. The seller brought the 10, so I ended up with no money into the deal. So it's about being capable, of course, being capable of closing, but working it out so everybody's winning. So now those two partners that I've taken on are both getting interest income, and they're very happy because they're getting now more passive income into their accounts. That's interest, dividend income. Mike, we talked about this a little bit. I love real estate investment trusts. I understand real estate. It's my industry. I can read those reports. I was reading BRGs last night, and I was telling Ron, I was like, dude, I love this. They just did a 1031 exchange with a $49 million property, and they're rolling it into this other $180 million property. I know everything they're doing. Like, it all makes sense.
That's awesome.
And the reason they sold is so that they could get rid of 3 partners. They could pay off 3 partners so they can move more into their solely owned partnership. So that now BRG is more and more owned in their properties without having so many equity partners in it. Now they're consolidating that and getting a little bit more profit on every single month of rent. They own 10,000 units. Look at the cat.
That's a different cat.
This is exactly what cats do. This is exactly how they are.
Meow.
So cute. So I'm looking at the
Lewis.
REITs now, and I'm looking at those companies and how they run, the fundamentals. And not only am I saying, yeah, this is a stable company, they just made a massive move. They just put so much cash in their coffers, $49 million. They just put back into the coffers, took debt off the books. They're doing a massive refinance now, they're reducing their interest rates on the 10,000 units they own. And it's like, wow, this is great. And their stock's going down. The stock is going down because the market doesn't know. They don't understand how to read their reports. It's just baffling. It's amazing. And so I'm buying in. Now the dividend, they pay me 64 cents no matter what. Every single year, 64 cents for every share I own. They paid me that when I owned $12 shares. Now the shares are down to $3. They're still paying that dividend. Now the shares obviously are going to go back. I can't continue to buy at this price, but the dividend yield is coming through. Now, if the company does better next year or next quarter, they may readjust their dividend yield and say, here's more. If they, for whatever reason, do worse, then they say, here's less. Here's the cool part. In their report, it says they're deferring maintenance right now. It says that they see the potential for tenants having issues, so they're deferring their maintenance. They're pushing it off. They're saying, we're going to hold back a little bit. This big multi-million-dollar company is doing the same thing we're doing, right? It's an industry you understand. It's an industry I understand. So investing in a company that makes sense to you is where I would suggest earning your dividends, right? If it's a company that makes sense to you, then absolutely I suggest investing in it. There are there are appreciation plays like Amazon, Tesla. There are appreciation plays that are going to do very well, right? They've been doing well. They're great appreciation plays, but they don't pay a great dividend. These REITs, these gas companies, utility companies that service utility companies, mortgage companies, REITs, they provide bigger dividends. companies that are consumable products typically provide a bigger dividend, something that can guarantee its money. There are companies like McDonald's, right? Guarantees its dividend. They're on the aristocrats list. Mike, you familiar with the top 25 dividend
No.
aristocrats? All right,
No.
write this down. So if you're interested in dividends, here's a great book. This book is phenomenal. Get Rich with Dividends. Excellent book. I strongly encourage everyone to buy it, invest in yourself, read it, get on Audible. What is the symbol for that stock? That's BRG. BRG. And again, I'm not condoning any stocks. This is just a company I like because they own a lot of property that I would like to own in Arizona, Texas, Florida. Like they just own all the stuff that I'd like to own, 300 unit complexes. So Get Rich with Dividends. And what they're talking about in that book is, yeah, stocks are great for appreciation. Like we get that point. But if you want passive income, you can get many stocks that run a range of 7%, 8%, 10%, 12%. It's very common for you to get dividend yields in that range, especially in the REIT sector, because REITs are forced to put all of their cash back out to the investors, back out to the shareholders. This is part of being a millionaire, diversifying your wealth, getting different forms of income. Who here's heard this? Millionaires have 7 forms of income. Everybody's heard it, right? This circles around, but everybody thinks that they have 7 businesses. I don't understand why this is the common consensus. They're like, hell, how many businesses do you have? I'm like, I have 1. I sell real estate. I buy real estate. That's my business. But I have surpluses. I have supplemental income outside of it. I have a real estate team. That's a profit center. I have my REITs. That's dividends. I have the royalties from a book that's about real estate investing. I have interest from loans that I've lent to real estate investors. There's in my rental company, right? And then the capital gains when I sell a business, when I sell a piece of rental property. It's all real estate. So I have one business, I have real estate, I'm an investor. But 7 forms of income coming from that one business. Does that make sense? This is not rocket science, right? It's not an extremely crazy strategy. It's actually very simple. And all you have to do is spend more time on building the things you're very good at. Just focus on being very good at understanding how to evaluate real estate and how to make sure you capitalize on real estate. Reduce your expenses, increase your income. You understand the fundamentals, you can write a book, right? You understand the fundamentals, you can write a book. You understand the fundamentals, you can invest in a real estate investment trust. Or you can invest, like Mike, what was the book we read last week? Simple Path to Wealth.
Yeah.
You can invest in one great ETF or mutual fund that is investing just in REITs, and you can understand how they're operating. But I strongly suggest that if you're not going to do your research. But if you're looking to get a little richer, then I strongly suggest doing the research, earning your stripes as an investor, and finding a really great company that you believe in.
Right.
And it's the same thing. If you learn how to evaluate a deal, how to increase income, raise rents, improve the property, reduce expenses, cut debt, you understand how to look at a REIT. You understand how to look at that. It's just understanding how to evaluate a 3-family is the same way you evaluate a 100-unit building. It's the same concepts. They don't change. For capital gains, if you understand the fundamentals and you bought it right, you can make money on the sale. If you understand the fundamentals, it's just going back to understanding the fundamentals of real estate investing. Understand them, and you can make all 7 forms of income. If you understand the fundamentals, you can lend on a deal. If you don't understand the fundamentals, you're in trouble lending on a deal. Mike, have you ever not looked at the numbers and looked at the property, looked at the location of something you've lent on?
No.
It sounds
No, of
insane.
course not.
It's terrifying, right? The thought of that, it's
Right.
like, well, I might as well
I did
go to
that.
Las Vegas. You know?
I did that once with a sailboat, a little 18-foot sailboat. Big mistake.
How'd that work out? Did you make it rain on somebody?
Somebody was happy, but it wasn't me.
That's right. Sorry, Mike. We've all done it. So have I gone through all of them? Rental property, obviously. Active income, right? If you get your license as an agent and you understand the fundamentals, you can work your investors through it. If you're a business coach, if you're a wholesaler, if you're looking to help people in the arena of property management, if you're an attorney, if you're a lender, if you're looking to expand your business in any aspect, just understand the fundamentals of any business. We're talking real estate. Oh, Mike, you got all the pets over there. Who's this
Yeah,
one?
the dog. This is Luna.
Luna the dog?
Luna the dog.
Was that Chocolate Lab?
Anyways.
Nice. Chocolate Lab, Mike?
What?
Chocolate Lab?
Oh, no, it's a lab pit bull terrier mix.
You've got a very cultured dog, I see.
It's a mutt. It's a mutt.
Yeah, it's much culture involved in the mutt.
That's right.
So those are really, did I miss any? I got royalties, capital gains, interest, dividends, profit from a business, rental income, and then active income. If you are not on the phone calling a client today, you're missing out on active income. If you're not making enough per client, you're calling the wrong clients. It's that simple. There are bigger fish out there. Stop fishing for minnows and start fishing for the big fish. Go for the whales. Go for the big ones. You've been in your business long enough. Have some faith in yourself. You can handle the big guys. Go out there and service the big guys. And you know what I learned when I was looking to increase active income? I was no different from everybody else. The big guys are the same as you. The big guys are literally, when you come out there and you're willing to work for them, work at a discount. Just tell them, hey, look, I just want to learn. You work your first big guy for free, right? Just to learn it and see how you service them, see how that industry or that community operates differently. But go out and service somebody bigger than you've ever serviced before. Make that phone call. Right now is a time where you're contracted, you're pulling back. Go for bigger fish. You don't need as many when you're hunting for bigger fish. Making sense? Very good. Increase your income. I don't care what industry you're in. I don't care what you've done for a living. If you have been a bartender and you've been like a restaurant person and you're just realizing that money just dried up, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, I don't care what industry you're in, that's a mistake. You can't be living paycheck to paycheck. The other 6 forms of income require you to take some sort of either investment in energy or investment in time. It's either going to be an investment in energy or an investment in time, but you have to make that investment and start doing it now while you have way more time and way more energy to put into it. If it's not one of those, then you've got to put money on the table. And I'm strongly pushing the energy factor right now because I know people are scared. I know money's pulled back, but energy and time, you have abundance of it. I know Darina's got an abundance of it because I see her doing all the exercises lately. While you're doing those exercises, make sure you get your clients on the line. Put all that energy into increasing income. Increasing income. Who has your money? Who has more money than the clients you've been working with right now? I guarantee you it's real estate investors. I guarantee you look at that and start looking at the real estate investors. They still have cash right now. They're the ones still looking to make some moves, still looking to do something. I got 1.5 million about to refinance and come through. I got money to make some big moves. Find me some property, right? Mike, you got money sitting on the sidelines just waiting for some property. Isn't that true? Mitch,
Yeah.
I know you do. I know we're all sitting in a position to buy right now. So if income is an issue or you know somebody who thinks income is an issue, have them watch this video. There's a way to make money right now in this market. Absolutely true. Absolutely. That said, we're going to do the same thing again next week. Me and Mike are actually working on a podcast. I want to get Darina in another interview soon. Dave, John, Gary, Mitch, Ryan, Mario. I'd love to, Marsha, if you're open to it, I'd love to get a Zoom call with each and every one of you, get your opinion on what's going on in the marketplace right now and just put it out there so that we have a little bit of fun. Do like 10, 15-minute Zoom calls and we'll put it out just to, just talk. We'll see how it goes. But Mike, me and you, podcast.
Sweet.
We're calling
Looking
it
forward
the
to
Alchemist
it.
podcast or the Wealth Building podcast. We haven't quite dialed in the name, but it's going to be fun.
Abundance.
Abundance. And that's the mission. We want to make sure, and Ron and I have talked about our mission for a long time, and Mike is part of it. I know Doreen is part of it. Mario's part of it. Mitch is on mission with us. John's right there with us. Dave, Marcia, and Gary, you're guilty by association. So you're on the path with us. Basically, I know Dave's in it. That's right. Thank you, brother. Zach, you're too. Our mission is to change the world by just changing one piece of mindset. We can't change the entire world, but if we can just lever one piece and get people out of scarcity into abundance, get people out of competition into creativity, if we can make that one change, if we can just open the mind of the people in the world who are investing, who are working with us, just change from scarcity to abundance, competition to creativity, we will absolutely change the world and make it a better place. And the only way to do that is by first becoming successful, by first fixing it up here, getting out of scarcity, moving in towards abundance, finding the opportunities, teaching our students how to do that. And once we've made that change, I know that each and every one of you is going to go out and do the same thing with us. That said, I appreciate you being on the journey with us. I will see you guys next week. Mike, I'll see you Tuesday or Wednesday. Later, guys.
Sweet. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.